First review of the day is going to be for the film DIDI. DIDI was a film that came out earlier this year there. I'm just getting a chance to see it now because it's streaming on Peacock there. But this came out, it was at the Sundance Film Festival in January, and then it came out in theaters in July. So this film is directed by Sean Wang here. And it's a coming of age drama, comedy drama film here about 2008 here. You have a 13-year-old boy that follows by the name of Chris. Hey, Chris right here. Two Chris's right here we got. But he's Asian Chris. We got Black Chris. So we got that one here. So Chris Wang there, 2008, and a coming of age film about just like what it's like, to live life back then, be 13 years old. He's about to enter high school here. He's got his family, he's got his sister, and then he's also got his mother and grandmother living with him. His sister's about to go off to college. You have his mother there that is no father. His father's apparently working. I think they say he's working back in Taiwan, or he's working back there. So he's sending money to them, is what the story is. And then his mom is stressed trying to raise the kids and then also take care of the grandmother as well, who's her mother-in-law. So there's a lot kind of going on amongst all that, him trying to go to high school. Obviously there's also some, starting to figure out relationships, girls, friendships, other relationships in your life, like, finding out who you are at that kind of the very early development stage. Yeah, it can be a lot. It can be kind of complicated for a lot of kids there. So I'm gonna give it to Chris. Chris, what were your thoughts there on DIDI?
Walking out of the theater, I just thought to myself, the reason why movies like DIDI, Turning Red, um, um, Elemental, Past Lives, and Everything Ever All at Once is so successful because these directors are telling very personal stories, and the premise for all these movies are so specific. And it just so happens these are all Asian American filmmakers who have immigrant parents, and so we're just getting this perspective that may not be completely, I don't have Asian parents, but my parents are immigrants. And I was born in 94. I was 13 years old during summer 2008, the time of MySpace, Lil Wayne, The Dark Knight is in theaters. Like, just this movie was a breath of fresh air because, like, during the 2010s, there was a real lust for the 80s, like movies, television. Like, if there was any flashback or if there's any paying homage to a certain period, it was always the 80s. Like, and I feel like it kind of either started or really blew up with Stranger Things, movies and television just taking place in that era. And now it feels like now that the early 2000s are 20 years ago, it's become the new nostalgia. And we're now looking back and thinking about, B2K and we're thinking about flip phones and like the Razor and 106 in Park, the things that like existed back when we were, younger. And this movie just felt so specific. It felt so close to home. Like the main character's name is Chris, and he's 13 years old, 2008. And I'm like, this is very relatable. And like you said, it's again a beautiful coming of age story. We're watching this kid, a little slice of life, watching him navigate these relationships, and just watching him struggle to make friends, watching him struggle to, acclimate and, kind of become more American and more Western because, we see him kind of reject, his Chinese, Taiwanese side. But just this movie, for me, it moved me. It's a great runtime, and I loved it.
Yeah. I heard a lot about this movie. People said it's one of the best movies of 2024. And I could say, I mean, I haven't rated it yet, but I highly agree with that. I think it's a very strong film, very strong coming of age comedy drama film here. About, like I said, this is kind of very reminiscent of, our life being in the same age group. I was 13 in 2008, so I remember being 13 there, and you had that's like very early on YouTube they have here because he's a skateboarder and he's making videos with his friends. You have that, and then you also have MySpace there, so he's doing that. Also, you have the instant messenger there. He's chatting with his friends back and forth, and then the girl that he likes, and except the only difference was I didn't have my own computer in my room. There was only the family computer that you
Yeah,
had. You
exactly,
didn't you didn't
exactly.
you had
Yeah,
to go downstairs to use the family computer.
yeah,
Everybody used there.
yeah,
So yeah, so there's that. And I didn't see this movie, but it seems like it's very reminiscent of that movie that Jonah Hill did called Mid '90s. Did you ever see that movie?
yeah. I didn't see it either, but everyone was comparing it to mid '90s and it said Didi did what mid '90s was trying to do, and I was like, oh wow, okay. Well, I haven't seen mid '90s, but I definitely see the parallels.
Yeah, because this is also about this is like a kid, and then also like him coming of age film, and he's also a skateboarder and hanging out with other skateboarders, and then he's also trying to figure out life. So I think some of the I haven't seen the movie, but it seems very similar to DD there. So I don't know I think it's got good reaction though. I think people liked it. I think it got good reviews.
Yeah,
Uh,
I'm pretty sure the mid '90s was like critically acclaimed.
Yeah. Yeah, so you had that. So I didn't see it. So I don't know if people who did how much they can compare to how similar it is there, because it seems pretty similar of there. And then also with Didi, you have the, immigrant experience that you mentioned there of him kind of like, very somewhat ashamed of his heritage, you'd say there. He wants to kind of maybe try to fit in more there, with the other kids. So he's kind of ashamed of that to a degree, and trying to fit in. And, everybody kind of remembers that point in their life there of trying to assimilate, trying to fit in there, especially going into high school there. Of what's your dynamic going to look like in high school, your friend group, everything
Mhm.
like that. And I think the movie lays that out really great. And this, like I said, this is directed and written by Sean Wang here, who I haven't seen his previous work. He did Nana and Waipo there that came out in 2023 there, and it's on Disney Plus and Hulu, so maybe I'll go check it out. But also that's apparently gotten really good. It's best documentary short film that it was nominated for, so
Nice.
maybe I'll go check it out there. But yeah, this was really good, and just seeing his different dynamics with everybody, like he has his sister there, and like they're going back and forth, which was really good there. Even though I don't think I was ever that mean to my sister. I don't think. I never did no shit. I never peed in my sister's lotion or no shit
It's
like that.
crazy.
There's that. Also, yeah, I mean, so I think that's very interesting there of just that whole dynamic. And then you also have with the mother, uh, I always think a great movie is like you can also follow some of the other side characters, and then it could be like they could have their own movie. Like the stuff with the mother of like her unrequited kind of dreams there of being a painter, an artist there, of trying to maybe
Yeah.
she wants to have, open up a shop there. She had the dream of that, of doing that in New York. Like that's very interesting. Like stuff with the mother is very interesting. The sister Vivian you have there is like there's some stuff that gets revealed about her that's also very good there. And then, well, she has her own kind of stuff that would have been interesting to follow as well. Of like going off to college, she's about to do that, and like how's she feeling about that? Is she stressed about it? Is there a lot of pressure on her to do that? And then also the mother is I mean, there's a lot of burden on her from the mother-in-law who's just riding her shit, constantly all the time there. She's got to work. She's got to take care of these two kids basically by herself, and plus the mother-in-law who's very elderly. So she's, going through a lot of stuff there. So yeah, I mean, I think that also is really a lot of great stuff in the movie too. There, you could follow each one of them, and they could have their own movie as well. What do you think about some of the supporting cast in the movie?
Like you said, brilliant. I love the mom so much. It's my favorite relationship in the movie between Didi and his mom, and just watching her as a character, watching her light up whenever someone like compliments her painting. She goes, "Oh, you like this? I did it. It's handmade all by me." Like she's so proud of what she has done because she knows that she's mocked by her husband and her mother-in-law, and later in the movie, spoiler alert, even Didi kind of mocks her for the whole, like he calls them stupid, like he calls her beautiful paintings stupid, and the sister has her own dynamic, like you said. Um, it's interesting her being the oldest, but you would think that gives her some power, but in their culture, she's still a girl. So, in many ways, Didi is still kind of seen as, I guess, the man of the house, or, not the one who's more important, but we just, within the culture, there's definitely a hierarchy in how, uh, sons and daughters are treated. But the way they bicker, I don't have a sister, but the way they bicker over clothing, like he would like, did he not like walk away with one of her hoodies, and
Yeah.
like that's relatable, because even though my brother was a little taller than me, I was still able to fit like a lot of his clothes, and vice versa. So um, there's that, and also they're not as prominent, but the actors who play his friends,
Mm.
that scene where they're like invited to that party, and the boy with the Sikh head wrap is makes.
Fahad?
Yeah, yeah. This we I think I'm not gonna speak for you, Josh, but like I definitely knew a Fahad when I was younger, and they were they usually lived in a big house, and they talked a lot of shit, and just that first joke about, oh, how's your mom doing? Oh, she has cancer. He goes, oh, I'm sorry, rest in peace. He goes, she's still alive. That was such a great joke, and it was like within the first 15 minutes of the movie, and just again, so much of the dynamic and the time period, they really nailed it. Like they really captured, like Sean Wong really captured a very special, to us, a very special time period. I guess this is how Gen X feels when they watch movies based in the 80s. Like, oh, this was my childhood. This was how it felt and how it looked. So having that experience now as someone who's almost 30 years old
Yeah.
was it was special. I was like, wow, was it really this hard to capture? The early 2000s. This is great.
Yeah. How many more movies about the early 2000s? Because usually it seems like when they do coming of age stuff, it's usually about like the 90s or the 80s,
Yeah,
but not
yeah,
really kind of the early kind of 2000s. I'm trying to think of like another movie that was like a coming of age
yeah.
film from the early
And,
2000s.
yeah, yeah, it's very specific.
Uh,
Yeah, at the moment, nothing's like
well, I
top.
guess Mean Girls. I guess Mean Girls did
That
that.
counts. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, Mean Girls, because
absolutely.
that was actually in the moment of 2004, there, so you did have that. And then there was even kinda like a Fahad type character in Mean Girls, because it was the one dude that was part of the mathlete club
Always,
with,
yeah.
Lindsay Lohan's character, so he did have that. So, yeah, his friend group there was good, very, again, how kids talk to each other. I think they kinda got that down very well, and we just watched an interview with the director of how he mentioned Stand By Me was a big influence on him, and
Hmm.
then, the thing about Stand By Me, which got a lot of love, was that it really captured how kids talk to each other,
Yeah,
and how kids related to each other, and that was a big thing about that movie. Like, kids are gonna curse, kids are gonna say stupid shit, kids are gonna do that, um, because they're 13, whatever years old, and I think that movie also translate that, to it as well. This is a really wonderful movie, and really, I could definitely see this being nominated, for it. Just some of the performances in it. The mother, really great there. Like, there's a scene in the car that really breaks your heart there with this. And it's just like, man, it's like one of those things that makes you kind of rethink, like, man, was I that shitty when I was a kid, when I was 13? Yeah, to my parents, like, man, it makes you want to call your mom and say you're sorry,
yeah.
there for putting up with your little ass all those years. Man, I mean, I think that, yeah, I mean, it does a fantastic job of that. Really great work from Sean Wang there. Can't wait to see what he does in his career with this. So for me, I would give it a peak. I give it a strong peak for me. Boarding on This Is Cinema. What about for you?
Yeah, no, it's just like, you know, Turning Red. It takes place in 2002, Toronto, Canada, and it's a 13-year-old girl, Chinese, Canadian girl, Tamagotchi, boy bands. Again, that kind of stuff. They really captured the time. Dee is just like that, and like you said, that last scene in the car, just, as someone who was a mama's boy, I never had that with my mom, but like seeing that does hurt, and like I do feel it. Um, is peak your highest?
This Is Cinema is the highest.
Okay. I'm gonna give it This Is Cinema. There's only two films this year I gave 5 stars. It's Didi and Sing Sing with Coleman Domingo.
Okay.
Um,
I still gotta
um,
see that.
yeah, Sing Sing and Didi for me right now are back to back for my number one favorite film of the year. This film was beautiful and like the best kind of nostalgia for us millennials who were there, who can appreciate watching The Dark Knight in theaters with their siblings, who can appreciate when Lil Wayne was the biggest name in music, and everyone was saying he's better than Tupac. He's the best. He's the GOAT. Lil Wayne. MySpace. I didn't have MySpace, but my brothers did. Yeah, DD is just, yeah, I give it 5 stars, and it's one of the best films I've seen this year. So for me, I will say this is cinema. Absolutely.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. High Peak, and this is cinema for DD. People can watch now if you have Peacock. I don't pay for Peacock. Well, I guess I kind of do. I have the whole Xfinity thing deal. Where
The
they,
bundle.
yeah, so I got that with it. So I do that with it. But I recommend checking it out if people can. I think it's one of, like we said, one of the better movies of this year. Hopefully, it does get nominated there for something. I think it is that good. So yeah, High Peak. This is cinema for DD on streaming now. All right there.